Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning LaLa. We are honoring #Transformation Tuesday, and we have the queen of it, Miss Tracy McCubbin, in the house, creator of Declutterify.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you because it's all about transformation, and I really need to transform my space to transform my mind. Or is it the other way around?
Well, I think it's a combination, but I definitely see a correlation. You know, it was interesting, Wes was talking about the things he had to purge in his head to kind of have forward movement in his life, and I think that we see that with our spaces. You know, I go into so many clients' houses and they're stuck and they just don't understand why, and you go, well, you have piles of, you know, magazines going back 10 years. Maybe that has something to do with it. You know, you have piles of photos of like 6 ex-boyfriends. Maybe that has something to do with it. So it's about kind of identifying what's getting in their way of living the life they want to live.
You've created the #1 home organization company here in Los Angeles. What makes your service so unique?
So that's a great question. I consider myself a declutterer first and an organizer second. So, you know, there are lots of organizers out there who can put things in pretty bins and make perfect labels. But for me, I feel like until you purge and until you declutter, you can't be organized. So I'm approaching at it from a much more holistic sense. Like, let's look at your home. Let's figure out what works for you. Let's figure out what, you know, for example, I always say to my clients, you know, can you get dressed and get out the door easy in the morning, or is your closet just a black hole of, you know, indecision? So it's about creating a home that makes your tools and helps you start your day.
Wow, just love that.
So what does that look like? Because I'm a very, or if someone went in my home, they'd think it's very organized. I don't have clutter or whatever, but I'm telling you, there are pieces in my closet that I cannot let go of, that I may wear once every 3 years, and I think, I just might need that on that one occasion. How do you get somebody to like release that? Like,
well, first of all,
right, the universe, let it go, girl.
First of all, I'm not a monster, so if you really love it, we can keep it. But it's about looking at, if your closet is successful for you, if it's organized and you can find everything, then you can keep those pieces. But if your closet's so full that you have clothes stacked up on the chair or on the bed, or my favorite is clients who have a like an elliptical or a treadmill in their bedroom, and I'm like right in the middle of the bedroom, and I'm like, well, do you use this every day? And they're like, oh, sure, I hang my clothes on it. So it's about looking at, I call it livable organization. Is it working for you? You know, I'm a single person, I live in a loft in downtown LA. I have a very different life than a family of 3. So what's working for you? So if you have room in your closet and you and those pieces make you happy, then let's keep them.
Got it.
Love that.
I love
so
that.
a huge part of it is about utility, like what works for people, and I feel like part of it's also about the energy, right?
100%.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about that?
You know, it's interesting how stuck people get. You know, what I always say, and this is hard for people to wrap their brains around, but what I say is stuff innately has no meaning. You imbibe the meaning on it. So if you're an incredibly sentimental person, then all of a sudden, oh my God, I got this magazine here, and then that coffee cup she touched, and you know, and what happens is you bog yourself down with all of that stuff. So it's about acknowledging that you imbibe the meaning, and then when you realize how much power you have in that, it makes it easier to let go.
Wow. What a fantastic principle, because it applies to all of life.
Yes.
Right?
Completely.
Because you grew up with a hoarder, right?
I did. I yeah. My dad. I'm the child of a hoarder. So
what was that like?
You know, it's intense. It was kind of, you know, hoarding disorder is something that they've just recently acknowledged. They used to think it was a symptom of OCD. And so, you know, back kind of in the 70s, it was like, well, he's just eccentric. And I come from other family members, it's passed genetically. And for me, what it was is that I just watched someone struggle with their relationship and watch them. I think of hoarding sometimes as an addiction. You know, I think we get hits of dopamine. Look, when we go shopping and something's on sale, that's a big hit of dopamine. You know, when that Amazon box or that guilt.com box shows up, you're like, someone sent me a present. So I think it's about, the hard thing with hoarding is that it's so out of their control. And what I say to people in regards to clutter is be accountable, right? Be accountable. Like, everyone's like, how did all this stuff get in here? And I'm like, well, you brought it in, you bought it. So it's about, as with everything, an accountability to our actions.
So we don't have a lot of time, but just give us real quick, like, okay, I've hired you, come into my house, where do you begin?
First thing we're gonna identify is what area is stuck for you?
Okay,
Do you want to have dinner on your dining room table, but you can't because it's stuck with papers? Do you want to get dressed in the morning? You know, what's the area that's stuck? And that's what I always tell people, is kind of spend a couple days, where am I stuck? And then we'll break through that.
Got it.
And if people want to work with you, how can we find you?
I'm all over social media, Tracy_mccubbin on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm at tracymccubbin.com. I'm on Facebook.
And you have an exciting new book coming out
do.
spring
I
2019.
Yes, the Clutter Code, the 7 emotional blocks to why we can't get rid of our stuff.
Ooh, great title.
Yeah.
Love that.
Catchy.
You're going to have to come back to the show when the book is released.
I'd love to. It's fantastic.
Gail, thank you so much for being here
Thank
and sharing
you.
your
Thank you
news.
for all your work.
Stay tuned. We'll be back with Papa Joe, a transformational ambassador. Stay tuned.